Dr Nicky Dunn is Research Manager with Family Carers Ireland, who commissioned this study of almost 3,000 carers, and she's here with us this morning. You're very welcome. And we'll talk about the financial position in a moment, but first listening there to Catherine and her last point about respite. Is there very little respite for many of these carers?
Yeah, so the survey shows that 3/4 of the nearly 3,000 family carers reported that they've never received respite. So never received respite. One of the quotes in the survey says that they've been caring for 20 years and they haven't received respite. So there's a huge unmet need there, as Catherine has said. Respite is critically important for carers to recharge their batteries. Like Catherine, many of the carers in the survey are caring significant amount of hours. So within the survey, I think 3/4 are caring for over 90 hours a week. Many of those round the clock. So they're providing an absolute essential service. They're keeping people safe in their homes. And to do that safely, they need to be able to mind themselves as well. And respite is a core, critical part of that argument.
And it goes some way to explaining why at least half of them are lonely.
Absolutely. And this is the thing with the loneliness findings. People talked about it's not only a lack of social companionship, it is that not having the money to go out, not having the time to go out, no respite, people not understanding the caring role, the lack of accessible places to visit. So one of the carers in the survey talked about her world shrinking, and I think that really summed up the report for me, this gradual narrowing of social life, of just life in general, because of, people having to give up work, reducing contact with friends and family. And, the report shows that people, of course, it's extremely worrying that they're cutting back on food and heat, but they're also cutting back on hobbies, seeing friends, and all of this is kind of contributing to the loneliness.
Their life has just been narrowed right down into that one focus.
Absolutely, yeah.
How should the state help with respite?
So we're calling, so there has been an audit commissioned by the Department of Children, Disability and Equality. So mapping out what respite is available, because at the moment we don't really know what's available, how many beds are available, what types of respite are available across the country. So we're calling on that to be published so we can get a sense of, well, what actually is the supply of respite. We'd also like to see a mapping out of the demand of respite so we can see what the unmet need is there. There has been some promising first steps in respite provision. That audit is a first step, and there has been some funding for emergency respite. But as we can see in the survey, many carers aren't actually able to access that. As well as that, carers and the people they care for aren't a homogenous group. They have different needs. So it's really important for that respite to be flexible to their needs and to meet the needs of the people that they're caring for. So we also found in the survey that carers weren't only talking about a lack of respite, but they were talking about quality, safety, and a respite service that they can trust. So choice and flexibility is critical in that, and the quality and safety too.
On the financial end of it, the cost of living, it's going up for everybody. Some are better able to cushion that than others. You want the government in the budget, which is coming up in a few months' time, to abolish the carers' allowance. Why?
Well, at the moment, so we can see in the survey 71% struggling to make ends meet, 18% finding it really difficult to make ends meet. So the people are providing essential care behind closed doors. The survey shows that they're struggling to keep the heating on, put food on the table. And at the same time, as Catherine pointed out, they're meeting they've huge additional costs associated with caring, like household adaptations, keeping washing machines on because of continence. Catherine pointed to that, heating on in the home and so on. So carers often have reduced income because if it's a two-parent family, for example, maybe the mother has had to give up work because she's caring for the children at home. There's one income coming into the household at the same time as the costs have risen. Mm-hmm. So in that case, there's a difficulty there within the household in terms of their financial stability. But also the means test for carers allowance actually means that it's the whole household income, so it's not based on the person providing full-time care. It's actually based on the household income. So there's one quote actually within the survey where a woman talks about having to give up her career to provide care for her children with additional needs, and she has to ask her husband for money. Because she doesn't qualify for an income in her own right. So I think that's critical. She actually says at the end of that quote, I'm a person and I deserve to be recognised for my caring role as well. So abolishing the means test, the programme for government has committed to doing this within the lifetime of the government. In July, the income disregard is going to be increased. The government is actually, getting closer and closer to fully abolishing the means test. So we are calling for the government to take the final step and do that in the next budget.
We'll leave it there for now, but thank you very much for coming in this morning.
You.
Dr. Nikki Dunn, Research Manager with Family Carers Ireland.